Hi, welcome to Haven. If you're wondering, where's Haven? She's right here. If you're wondering, you're not Haven. I am not Haven. I am Aaron. And today I'm taking over Haven. This is a podcast. Again, this is Haven, the podcast. This is Aaron taking over Haven, the podcast. I'm your host, Aaron, and we're having an unhinged conversation about all kinds of things. Welcome my guest, Haven, who you love and adore and subscribe to and know.
I'm just waiting. Do you want me to say anything?
Please, I'm begging you to say something.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be on this side of the couch.
It's so nice to be on that side of the couch, isn't it?
It is, because I have no idea where you're going to take it. I'm just here for the vibes.
Well, today I'm curious about living the dream.
We already did that part.
Oopsie. Well, here we are, currently living the dream. And what dream is that?
This is your topic. I don't know.
What dream are you living, Haven? I'm making you so uncomfortable. Okay, let's back up.
I'm in love with my husband doing a podcast. That's a dream.
Wow. A dream come true. No. Today I'm curious about this idea of living the dream. What does it mean? Is it possible? Are we currently doing it?
Cool. I'm intrigued.
But are we currently living the dream?
I think we are.
A dream? Are we living our dream?
I'm trying to answer. I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay.
Are those hypotheticals?
They were. Because you didn't answer in any of them. So they became rhetorical questions.
Okay.
I'm very interested in this idea because we've been talking a lot about this just in our everyday life. Like, there were early parts of our marriage where we were just laying a foundation for how we wanted to live, and we weren't making a lot of money. We were just kind of chilling out. We're still really not making a lot of money, but we're like, we've set in motion some things that have been, I would consider, dreams that now have come true. And to the point now where, to me, my perception is that, like, there's been a whole lot of crazy things that have happened in each of our lives. And even as we came together and started dating and then got married and now having a family, having children, so many dreams have come true. And I just want to talk about maybe that process of, like, imagining and bringing your imagination to a reality.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we do say it all the time. We feel like we're living the dream. We're like, this is beautiful. Like, we love our kids. We love our jobs. We love the area we live in. There's a lot that is also outside factors and tough, but we kind of anchor ourselves in reminding, like, we dreamed about this and we're living inside the dream that we talked about years ago. I think maybe the crux word in that sentence is the dream. I would say we're living a dream, but there's multiple dreams that we've had that either didn't come or translated to something else or moved around, or one of us changed. And so I would say we're living a dream.
A dream. I love it.
I thought it was a thoughtful point.
It is a thoughtful point. It's so thoughtful that I had to repeat it.
That was more mocking than repeating.
Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. Seems to be lost on some people, but we can dream. One can dream. So, one can dream. So, that is a good point. A fascinating point, because I think most people think about living the dream or a dream or whatever. They think of, like, maybe it's financial security, career fulfillment, just being healthy and taken care of, or maybe there's some, like, personal accomplishment that, like, they're sitting on top of, or, you know, some level of success or whatever it may be, that it's kind of things that we all maybe yearn for, you know, on some level. It may have different flavors, may have different specifics, but I think on some level, those are all parts of what it is to like live the dream. And it immediately, as soon as I venture outward and think about like what could happen in the future, sometimes there's some part of me, probably the human part of me that's still here on Earth, is reminded of, okay, but what about right here and right now, like in the present? How do I get from, like, I'm realizing that's point B and I'm still at point A. How do I even get there? But it made me think a little bit about, like, it's beautiful to dream and to go out there, but what about like this stuff right here? Like, shouldn't I be grateful? Shouldn't I be content with what I have versus like what I'm striving toward or what my ambition is leading me toward?
Well, we talk about that a lot, you and I, because it's like, I do think we're fine financially. We have goals of where we want to go, but we always remind ourselves, like, happiness is not on the other side of this number. Like, happiness is accessible to us right here. And if we're not happy here, we probably actually won't be happy there. So I think it's also of like, what's the dream there? Like, if it's a milestone to hit, cool, that's great. Ours is trying to find peace in the present. Like, that to me is the ultimate sense of like success or security is, can I be at peace while I'm chasing my goals, while I'm pursuing an advanced dream? How can I also know that happiness and joy and peace are accessible to me right here and not if, when, then?
So what if you don't have that joy right now, but you have a dream?
I think that's the bigger thing to pursue. Not saying you can't pursue at the same time, but like, what's affecting your present right now? Because I think I met this young woman for coffee, and she really wanted to be, it was years ago, she really wanted to be an actress, and she really had these like big things she was pursuing, but she had so many unhealthy structures in her life that I was like, if you reach success, it's actually going to break you. You're not prepared for success. You don't have the mental structures to handle all that success is going to throw at you and all of the weight and responsibility that come with that. And if you can deal with your own self in the gift of anonymity, then you can be prepared if that's going to happen. But I think she was pursuing these outside wrong metrics. And it's not saying someone shouldn't be a wildly successful actress at all, but I think she was thinking, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to finally bring value to life. I'm going to finally be worthy if I do this. And I just don't think that's the case. I don't think you find that on the other side of success. I think it's an internal job.
I would argue that living the dream is seeing that thing ahead and doing it now. Seeing that I want to be reliable. I want to be the first person people call for whatever. I want to be a help. I want to make it. I want to innovate. I want to be a whatever. Start doing that now. Like, that is how you begin to live the dream, by being a friendly person. Not just a friendly person, but work at being the best that you can be in the present moment. And letting that cascade into the future.
Yeah, I think when you expand and develop and stretch yourself. So you're not like, you're just going to become more of what you already are. If you're a generous person, you're going to become more generous. If you're a generative person, you're going to become more generative. Like, if you're stingy, that's not going to change. Like, if you're bitter, that's not going to change. Like, it's, you are yourself. And whenever you grow and pursue a dream and expand, it's just expanding the materials that's already inside of you. So I think it's acknowledging, what are my materials right now? But we feel this inner conflict a lot of like, how can we be happy and at peace and really mean that, but also have these big, hairy, audacious things that we're chasing after?
My friend Joe, he was sharing this week about that same idea about the content versus ambition, and he quoted some athlete. I don't remember who it was because sports, but the athlete said that it's that dynamic of, I want that, but I don't need it. Like I want it, but I am fine if it doesn't have, like, it's not going to like, I don't need it. And so I think a lot of times about the things in our life that where we are now, the ambitions we have, it's like even to get really meta and like start a podcast. Maybe you don't need it, but we want it. And it's really fun to create something for, you know, like you've created this space and it's led to so many great conversations and meaningful interactions with people that would have been really hard to do otherwise, or just wouldn't have happened otherwise. You know, you taking a risk and leaning into it is actually, it's because it's something that you want versus need. I think that's a really unique place to be in, and it's coming from just the joy inside of you, you know, outward. Sorry, microphone.
Yeah, it actually makes me think of conversations I've had with one of our nannies a lot over the last couple weeks. We've been talking about how I feel like at work over the summer I was sprinting. I felt the weight of making things happen. I felt like I was overexerting and it was really wrecking me. And she was talking about like how running, you get cramps from running beyond what your natural pace is. She was like, and so they say you're supposed to run relaxed. Your body's supposed to be in a relaxed state as you're running to prevent injury. And it's not running at the max speed, it's running at a sustainable speed. Wow. And so I was like, I think I felt the weight, and being a person of faith, I think even then I was like, well, it's up to me, you know, if I don't sprint, it's not going to happen. And I felt like God was really working on my mindset of like, no, I want you to run relaxed. And then now I was telling her, I said, it feels like the visual I have is like I'm on one of those people movers. And so I'm running, but I'm going so much further because God is pursuing under me and advancing it in ways that there's no way that I could have on my own strength. And we were talking about how it's interesting that like God still was requiring me to run. Like it's just at a pace. He still requires effort out of me, but it's not to kill myself. And when he gets involved, he takes it further than I can ever do it on my own, but it's a partnership. It takes me to still, I feel like sometimes we're also like, okay, then laissez-faire, success happens, or, you know, this, and we just stand there and then expect to advance. But I feel like it does require movement, and it's also easier to move like a train, like move tracks versus trying to get it started. Like go in a direction and then be open if it needs to pivot, but do go in a direction, you know?
For sure. Speaking of partnerships, how do we do this together?
Dream together?
Yeah, like we've got, obviously as individuals, I think I celebrate the individuation we've each had in our marriage, but how do we come together? Like where do we intersect on these sorts of dreams and things?
Well, I mean,
how does that work?
We're such different people. Our dreams like are really rare unless we're sharing about it as a family. Like
that's what I mean.
Yeah, like I think I just go with what's interesting to me and always make sure you're informed, but don't expect you to have the same dream that I do and put the value on you need to have dreams like me.
No, I mean the things that we share.
Oh, the stuff that we share together?
Yeah.
Like remember how we moved here to LA, like that kind of dream?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we I don't know, I think it's almost our own impressions. I feel like our souls are connected. So I feel like that's where that comes from. I don't think we're like, hey, what's a compromise of a dream? I feel like usually something that's working in you is kind of working in me. And the timing of it, maybe someone else has it first, but I do feel like there is some kind of like symbiotic, super spiritual connection where we kind of have these big things around the same time of, hey, that feels kind of off. Do you feel that? Or I feel like something's moving in this direction.
Like
what do you
shift,
think?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's just a shift that both of us are in tune with that we then kind of say, well, what would that mean? And then we give each other the freedom to like brainstorm and dream, and we don't shoot it down like that's not realistic or that'll never happen. Mm-hmm. We just allow the other person to kind of go with it and then see. I think that's it too. We don't confine the other person to that's not reality.
I always think sometimes like, what if we just moved to Amsterdam?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like maybe many years ago, we were asking where we should move, and that was on my list. And then one of our friends, this couple, moved there with their kid, and they're thriving and having a great time. And like, it would have been cool. But I also like the choice that we made.
But talking about like living the dream or living a dream, I feel like these alternate lives that we could have had if we made other choices sometimes get with my head of like, if we didn't move to LA, neither of us would have the careers we have. We wouldn't have the children we have. We wouldn't have the community and friends. But what would have been there? Like, what would have been the different versions of us that came to be if we had made different choices? I feel like there's so much freedom to choose.
Yes. I think I get like, as soon as you said that, like a little bit sweaty, like, because it was like, to me, that is leading toward like nostalgia or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a good way to, if you want to think about things. But I think when you're in a relationship, dreaming together, thinking about what you want to do, there's a little bit of a danger is an exaggeration, but there's something there where if you look too far backward, there's possibility for resentment. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this didn't happen that way, and I really wanted that. And
Yeah, what do you do when you and whoever your partner is has either opposite or conflicting dreams?
like, we had a example. I want to answer that question, and this might do it. We had a house that we were gonna buy or do like a long time ago, beginning of the pandemic, and if we had done it, like if we had bought that house, it would have been stretching us financially and all that, which would have been fine.
Is this the one we went in escrow in, or is this the
No,
one we
different
didn't bid on?
Wow, what a history! But the very first one, and I remember thinking like, if we had just done that,
Yeah.
it would have been beautiful. We would have all this stuff. But then you look at your choices along the way. Our choices, we chose no on that house, and basically decided to like stay in apartment life for the next several years. But then because of that choice, we got pregnant and we had our son Echo. And so I look at it like, if we had gone back, if we look back too far, look at a fork in the road, like a real big change would have happened if we had gotten that house. And then, but if we did that, it would be wonderful for that reason, but we wouldn't have this awesome kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like a weird one where some things seem so like minuscule, like maybe something little changes or whatever, but that's a huge change, but also a huge blessing in our life that we've had with him. And would he be there if we hadn't made that choice? And so sometimes I wonder if maybe making the choices in our life together, that creates something new, like the next chapter of a dream. Like I had this weird phenomenon where, like, especially in college, I would fall asleep, at night at like midnight or 2 a.m. or whatever, and my alarm would go off in the morning because I had like 8 a.m. classes because I waited too long to register for classes, and it was a disaster. And I would always miss those 8 a.m. classes because my alarm would go off like at the 9 snoozing intervals or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
I would just snooze, and then I would be coming out of an insane dream. Like I'm on a planet fighting aliens, or I'm on, underwater doing something, like just completely bizarre dream. Sometimes really intense. And then the alarm would go off, and I would keep my eyes closed so I could stay in the dream and just hit the snooze button.
Mm-hmm.
And if I kept my eyes closed, I could get back into the dream. And probably like a 90% success rate. However, something dramatically would change. like the colors would all be different, or like if there were characters in the dream, they would like switch roles, and then they were the bad guy and they're the good guy, or something like that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be so bizarre and so random. So I think about it sometimes, like, again, the danger, sometimes looking back too much, getting back into whatever was a dream back then, it would look completely different. And it's like, it's almost not even worth comparing to, because where can we go but the future to what's ahead? And the fun part, the rewarding part, is imagining what that could look like and making choices to try and get to some form of that. rarely is the same. Sometimes it really feels like we had a dream to move to LA. What that might have looked like is one thing, but then what actually happened based on our choices and friendships we made along the way and yada, yada, yada. It's almost like the snooze button, like waking up 9 minutes in the future again. And it's just a little bit different, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like there's something so beautiful to that. And I just really like doing it with you. And I wonder, like, what are some ways to, did I answer your question, by the way?
No.
What was the question again?
I mean, you answered something more interesting, but I was asking, what if couples have different or conflicting dreams?
That's my next question as well. Like, what do you do when there's like friction or dissonance between where you want to go and what I want to do?
When does that happen with us?
Probably
I think of one, but
I don't think that it happens on the big scale like that.
I think it happened when we were going through something. I was going through something and I had immense pain and I wanted to recluse. I wanted to lick my wounds. I wanted to be calm, and you were like, I want to go more. I want to go more outside. I want to get more connected outside. And I was like, I can't do that. And I remember, again, we asked our counselor, I was like, what do you do when what he's asking for and his needs are the exact opposite of what my needs are? And he was saying that it happens sometimes as couples, like literally the thing that I'm asking for is the opposite of what you're asking for and what you need. And how do you manage that? I don't think there was ever a specific answer. I think it was just that happens sometimes. Like, and we had to trust that we will find each other again on the other side, even though I'm not giving you what you need, which is you want to get more outside, more involved.
And you needed, like, I think what the thing is, I wanted to be closer to people, and you were hurt and you needed to take some time to heal.
Yeah. And we just had to, not like at all individuate at all, but we just had to be like, I'm going to take care of myself and you can take care of yourself in that area. And eventually it did even out, but it was a little bit isolating for both of us in that time. And it was a little difficult to, I would never say we were living like parallel lives, but we were just having different experiences. When one of you is really hurting and the other isn't, there is that disconnect. You know, there is that, like, one is feeling something so deeply and the other one can empathize, but they're not feeling it the same way.
I think about it a lot with like the whole thing with Isley when you were pregnant with her, and there were like the complications or little things about her, like neutrophils and whatever was going on in her like system, where we're like, is she going to get sick? And we just got like tough news. And I remember you were like very like overthinking it. And I was like fully trusting in the doctor, I guess. Or I think
it happened twice. It happened when I was pregnant and we got the tough news. And then it happened when she was about 2 years old and she got the blood work, tough news. And both of us processed differently. I'm more like, what are we going to do? What are the plans? What are the things that are in step? And you're more like one step at a time, where I'm like seeing 10 steps ahead. I'm like,
I know there's nothing I can do about it, but I can be here and I can be present. Like, I know what I can do is enjoy this time with you, enjoy our time with our kid, you know, as scary as it is. Even like my son Echo, like, swallowed a magnet a while back, and it was just annoying because I got these magnets because they like to put stuff all over the fridge, and they were like these little like
they looked like candies. They were little
they were
square,
very cute, but like he doesn't
colorful
know if it's a candy
things.
or not. Candy
it looked
is
like
weird nowadays.
Yeah.
So he just pops one, and then like I saw him like kind of do like a heavy swallow.
He came over and he was like, and he was pointing his throat, and I said, did you swallow that? And he like pointed at the fridge, and I was like, Aaron, I'm pretty sure he
and
just took that in.
How many did you eat? And he said 2. Like, what?
The most dangerous, because then the magnets like form together in the esophagus or stomach. Like it's
it
dangerous.
Can cause some major like intestinal issues. So regardless to say, we went to the ER, tried to get it out. It took forever to like get into the doctor, but finally when we did, you know, he went under and it was done and they got it out. It was just one, thankfully. But then they also found out like all these other beads.
Yeah,
like he ate
they
like
show us the X-ray and it's like the magnet and then all these beads that he had swallowed that we didn't know about.
like from this bracelet thing. They look like nerds, so I kind of get it. But
we're involved parents. We just have an active 2-year-old.
he just he liked to eat things back then. But anyway, you know, we went to the hospital. The whole time I'm like, I'm worried, but also not at the same time.
Well,
like I know like this is how we handle this.
Well, this is what we realized is I think you are the better parent in those scenarios because it's very difficult for me. You went with just you and Echo. I stayed back with Isley and I spoke at like 4 a.m. to the doctor. And when they were like saying that he needs to go under, I said, do you feel like this is worth it? I can get some emergency childcare and come be there. I was like, is this something I need to come? And he goes, honestly, he's like, obviously as a mother, it's your choice. He goes, your husband's got it well at hand. He's like, he's here. He's great. This is quick. We feel good about it. And I was like, okay, like that's, it makes sense. Where the times before I was like, I want to be involved. I want to know all the answers. I really want to try and proactively like prepare for this. But I think we've realized that in a crisis scenario with that, it doesn't affect your heart like it does me. I won't show the kids that, but my heart feels tattered at the end. And yours, you can handle it.
I guess I've been too traumatized for even this world. Nothing phases me.
Nothing phases you anymore?
No, it's just, I don't know what it is. Maybe you may project a little bit into.
I think I try and control. I think it's a control thing.
Yeah.
I think I just want to know the outcomes, the scenarios, the alternatives, and it's hard for me to stay present when I'm in that mindset.
Mm-hmm. But it's helpful in a lot of ways too. Like at least somebody is, you know, if we do need to take a hard turn, like you're there, and that's important. What do you think about like when say just you have a dream about like with your business or whatever it is? How does that like has that evolved over time? Mm-hmm. And how do you interact with that? Like speaking of control, how do you interact with that sort of thing? Like what you imagine would be amazing to do with your company or your podcast or your family or whatever it is. When things change or when that even changes, like, do you celebrate that? Do you welcome that? Is that hard to like let go of, to let a dream go?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a mixture for me of intuition and collaboration. Like I do feel very in tune with my intuition of where things are going, and it's proven itself enough where I can trust that and go there. But especially if it's a new field or a new pioneering, I love collaboration. I love getting takes from people that are further than me or have done it before or have experience, but then it can go on the edge of like too many cooks in the kitchen. Like I have to select a small number of people that I'm going to get their take and throw it all over the place with and try and figure it out. And then I'm going to pull the pieces together and make a decision. It's kind of like my parenting approach where I want to gather all of the data and then throw it out the window and go with my gut in the moment. But I want to have had the data before and know what's going on and then just see in the moment where the flow is. And so I think when it comes to dreams, like if I see something that I'm going to get everything and try and go that direction, but if my gut is saying, okay, that's great, now we're moving this way, I just know that's more important than staying static in what I thought something would be. You know, it twists and it turns and it evolves and it gets better. So I think I've had a lot of dreams that they don't pan out the way that I think they are, you know?
Have you ever had a dream that just die?
A dream
like
that died?
That's you had to let go.
I mean, for a long time, it was us trying to do a house. Yeah. Like in LA, we were certain we had the down payment set aside. We had the idea. We were pre-approved. We looked and we kept getting outbid. Then eventually we got the house that we thought was okay. And we went there. We were like, it doesn't feel right. Like it doesn't feel right. We were in escrow and we had to pull.
That's such an image of like us trying to control. We were trying to finally get something. And they were like, is this even the right thing?
Yeah.
No.
Like, it didn't feel right. And I think in my head, I was like, I want to hit this milestone. I want to have roots. I want to like make this happen here. And then I think I had to I had to let it die. It was especially during COVID. It was a great time to buy a house. It was really, really great. It just wasn't working. And so I knew in that moment, I was like, I'm really disappointed. I really want this later. It's still going to be a dream. It's just a not now. But I do think I'll look back and be like, God, could you at least give me the gift of seeing, what could have happened here? And then years later, there's still a couple, like one, we wouldn't have Echo, period. And then two, the houses we looked at, we had a less than a 1-year-old there. We didn't know to look for school districts. We would have been stuck in some pretty not great school districts because we thought, great, this is a beautiful house. It's in our budget. We can make this happen. And like, that wasn't one of our things to check with. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad because we would have had to pay for a mortgage and private school if we weren't going to go to one. Now I'm like, oh, apartments, like you can definitely be in a space that's a good school district and not break the bank. And we can live below our means and tuck things aside and then get ready. But the dream dying of, I had a dream of I want a home that has enough parking where we can host. I want to be the birthday party home for our kids. I want, if our friends don't have space, they want to say, can we use your home on Saturday to throw this event? I want to say yes. I want the Christmases there. Like that's an absolute dream that hasn't happened yet that I hope will. But as of right now, it's not.
Where we are right now, what dreams do you have for like our family?
For our family?
Because if I may point out, some of that, even in this space where we live, in this apartment, you are doing those things. The kids in the neighborhood and the building come and knock on the door to play with our kids. And you are that neighborhood mom. How's that feel?
It feels great. I feel like that's also I'm falling into my own trap of, oh, this is on the other side. But it is here. Yeah, like the kids that come knock on our door, the kids that come and play dress up and we feed them, like that to me is like it's right here. I may have these things in my head, but so much of that is accessible right now too. And I think when you ask of dreams for our kids, we got this big flip chart and we wrote the Weits summer fun list. And we're like, what do we want to do? And it doesn't have to be crazy. One of them was like, go to Slushy Land because we drove by it.
It looks really good down the street.
Yeah, we still have to do it. And like kind of listing it out. So my dreams are being together and crafting childhood memories and this foundation of trust with us. Like I'm actually trying to not overschedule them. I'm trying to have enough downtime where we're just here and together and have family dinners. Like my dream is quality time with all of us. That's how I kind of view the dream of our family. What would you say?
I kind of think it in a similar way. Like our kids are at this age now where they have their interest in things they are gravitating toward and getting to like expose them to things like that. Like I want to take Echo to that monster truck thing so bad, and I can't wait.
He keeps talking about it. He keeps always saying, like, he'll tell people, like, I get monster truck for my birthday.
But yeah, that's one way I try to just appease him. It's like, let me take a picture of this. We could ask someone to get it for you for your birthday. He's like, thank you. And then, Isley's just in like fairy princess land, and it's so cute. But like, it's not like we're on a back seat or anything for the family dreams. It's, if anything, it's like, oh, there's things I would still love to do, but I'm actually in a front row seat to seeing their little dreams like emerge. And so I want to like keep creating little moments or helping, I don't know, create the parameters for that kind of thing to happen for them. And they can discover like whatever they like. That's been really exciting to me. And I think more of those things in the future is going to be really cool. In your life, Haven, what is a dream or something you've imagined or hoped for that has come true? Something you've prayed for or wished for that you've seen happen?
I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. Now I'm doing it.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. I love running the company that I'm in right now. I love the people I work with. I'm really proud of our staff. I believe in the work that we do and the mission of it. And I always wanted to take the entrepreneurial leap and be, part owner of something that you're growing and scaling. And so it was a dream that I wanted to prepare for a long time. And when I made the transition like 2 years ago, I just kind of pinched myself. Like, I can't believe I get to fulfill this dream. It's up and downs. Like, some days are great. Some days are really tough. Especially feeling at the top. My business partner, Kyle, and I, we kind of look at each other and we're like, it's on us to decide this. Like, it's really up to us, you know, trying to figure it out. And so there's an excitement and also a terror that comes with that. But I love that dream, and I'm so glad I'm living it.
Even back to like the neighborhood mom thing, there's just that you're on that wavelength of like being a provider in such a unique and interesting way, right? Like, it definitely happens in the home life, you know, that's easy, but then that's just a part of your essence, I think, and who you are. It comes out in the professional sense too. Like, you're creating opportunities for so many people, and even so many people we care about, you know, are now like kind of in your world, you know. And I think that that's really cool to see how you harness that.
Well, it's kind of like the running analogy of like, I feel the burden, the responsibility. Like, as much as I see it as beautiful, I feel like we have a lot of employees, and these are people that this is their income. Like, these are their health benefits. Like, the things that we decide of what health plans we're going to do have ripple effects for other people, or making tough staffing decisions affects other things. And so I think it's also easy to feel the weight of the dream, the thing that you wanted and you're so excited about, and all of a sudden it's crushing you. So I feel like that's also of like, when I was running so fast, it was because I felt like things are crushing, and if I don't maneuver, if I don't change. And I feel like that's also part of appreciating a dream that you're living in, is like, okay, I wanted this, so I will be prepared. You know, I feel like God's going to equip me to handle this, even though it's bigger than what I've done before, and running relaxed with the dream of it's still going to take effort, but I'm not going to kill myself for this, because it does feel, dreaming bigger than you is actually insanely vulnerable. It's so scary, because it feels like, I feel like sometimes I'm walking on water. God, if you don't allow me to take this next step, I'm drowning.
Yeah.
If like, I feel like I always have to keep my eyes on him, of being like, you're the one who's helping me do this.
Is that an internal thing, or the perception of people around you? Like, here's this girl, why is she reaching so high above her means?
I don't know. I don't really care about that. Like, for me, it's...
I knew the answer to that.
I don't care what
like
people...
to hear you say it. I love that about you.
I don't care what they see or think or don't think.
Yeah.
I think that it's me feeling like, God, you're taking me beyond realistic means right here. And if you're not with me, I can't. I don't have it in me. And I know that, but I'm going to trust you. It makes me feel so emotional, because it's very intimate. Dreaming big and vulnerably is very intimate, because I know I don't have the means inside me to make this happen.
Wow.
If God doesn't step in, if he doesn't continue to, that's what I feel like, is if I keep taking one step, if I look at the water, if I think about how am I doing this, I start to sink. But if I just keep my eyes laser focused of, okay, Jesus, you've called me to this. You've equipped me here. You're carrying me here. I'm going to keep taking one step in front of the other, and trust that you're with me in this. And not only that, my next goal of what I'm trying to do is like getting away from the fear and the terror, getting into the focus, but then into the enjoyment of like, I can't believe it. I'm walking on water. Like, that's crazy. You're here with me. This is awesome. This is so cool. Like, to the enjoyment of it. It's not just like, oh, reality is terrifying. Oh, I feel so vulnerable. Keep focused on you. My goal for my heart is to get to the point where I'm dancing on water and enjoying it, and knowing that he has me, and that I can keep going forward, because it's him that's sustaining me.
Does the inertia of that place, the trust, all of that, is it exhilarating, or is it like exhausting?
It depends on the day. Like,
How do you straddle that?
Yeah,
line?
I think I listen to a lot of worship music. Like, I have to process, I'm only so human.
Just to like calm your
just to
internal
connect
world.
And just to feel the feelings that come up with it, you know, like
allow them to come up.
Allow them to come
Not
up
pacify.
And allow them to come out, and not push them down, and not distract, and not over spiritualize or over be positive, but allow it to come up. I often weep when I listen to worship music. I often feel this release and melting of tension in myself. But yeah, like sometimes it feels exhilarating and sometimes it feels helpless and like I'm just so small compared to the things that I want to do and what I want to dream, and there's no way I can get there. That's when I feel like I'm in my humanity. But when I'm in, you know, connectedness with God and when I'm in union with him, I feel connected to the source that's bigger. So it depends on which point of the day, you know, I'm in, that sometimes it feels exhausting and sometimes it's exhilarating.
I love that.
Really, I would rather feel exhilarated always.
No, I love it because that's like, not everything is so exponentially life-giving. That's unrealistic, right? Like there's some, if you're doing things, it means you're active and you're putting yourself out there and it's costing you something. Like there'll be other things you can gain from with, you know, our family or other things, but I think that's one thing I'm really proud of in this season where you are working so ridiculously hard is that our kids will see it and they even play like, oh, I'm going off to work, you know, whatever.
Echo will get his laptop and go work, and then go, I'm done, and come home.
But the nature of that, they see who you are and they see that drive, but they also see you needing to recharge, and they'll know that it takes something to work hard and that it's worth it. So
for you, even your like physical night dreams are pretty insane. Like you dream
physical night dreams.
Sounds like a cologne. You get at CVS. But you dream a lot. I feel like you dream more than you're in reality. So what kind of dreams come up for you?
During the day?
Yes. What kind of daytime dreams do you have?
What, like about life? Like imagining? Are you talking about like literal dreams?
No,
or are you talking about
take
like
this as meta as you want, but what are you dreaming about right now?
I think about the dream of like doing a lot of, I don't know, just more, how do I say this? Because you said meta, I can go there, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's your takeover. You don't have to get my permission.
Wow. So, sometimes I dream of what it is like to not be so bored sometimes, you know, like, and maybe that is just a funny way to say, I like to imagine, you know, like using my imagine for the sake of not being bored feels like such a complicated way to say that. But I do think sometimes I saw that study or whatever, things about being a dad, like that kids are supposed to be a little bored. Like it's good for their memory. It's good for those things. So I've been applying that to myself as well. Like I'm trying not to fill my mind with like TikTok or like whatever stuff all the time. As much as I love information and learning and all those things, I'm trying to allow myself to be bored. But in those moments, it's sort of like a feedback loop of I begin to then imagine what it would be like to be a little less bored when I'm in those extremely boring moments in my mind. Does that make any sense to you?
As much as it can.
Thank you so much for trying. So, all that to say, when it's like a slingshot, like I'm bouncing off that bottom of boredom into the sky of imagination, that I begin to like think of new things I can do. Like I would love to obviously do more musical things, right? Like continue to innovate, try new stuff. But as a part of that, I don't want to do the same kind of thing. And so like just out of nowhere, you know, I've gotten some offers to do different projects and it's been really fun because it's something, some of the stuff is totally left field and not what I would normally do, but it's been really cool too. And I think maybe that I'm dreaming of a new challenge or something that doesn't, or that I'm not aware exists yet. Like I want to be on the edge or the cusp of whatever that is. And even whatever I get into, like if it may be like modular synths, my algorithm on social media is full of stuff like that. So I'm seeing everybody do that, and I'm almost not even interested in it anymore because I keep seeing other people are doing it. I want to do something that I cannot see, and maybe I just need to get off social media because that will cut the algorithm off for me, and I'll just be doing my own thing in wondrous bliss. But I think on the dreaming side of it, I like to just, sure, when I'm actually like asleep and dreaming, I imagine some weird things. I can let my imagination go pretty wild. But when it comes to imagining what I want to do in real life, or with the tools that I have or the skills that I have, I just enjoy doing things on like left field. Like that's the more interesting part of it for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that actually did make sense.
Thank you. It actually did make sense. You could put that on my tombstone or something.
It actually did make sense.
Yeah, it's a lot of, I think, where my mind tends to wander is I get bored a little easily of things. And I try to just think, how can I break this? How can I
just think you're so smart.
How can I dismantle this and start over? Or like, does it even need any of
I think you have pattern recognition. I think you're highly intelligent. So I think you see something and you're not as entertained or you're not as like, surprised and delighted as other people. I think you just see through it.
It takes a lot though. It's kind of like, I think on your end with the exhilarating, all that stuff, when I'm trusting, it's in that, the way that I think even how I connect to God is like, He made like everything. So like, what does that even mean? Like, is there stuff that we haven't even experienced yet that I could help usher into reality? Like that would be that's a fun thing for me to dream. Like, a new way of interacting with music for sure is one way to think about it.
I love your brain.
Thank you.
Let's wrap it. You want to do one last closing thought?
Yeah. My last question would probably be like, what dream are we living right now?
I want to hear you answer that first.
Right now in this season, I think it's the dream of family. Like, we had no idea what it would really look like. We both definitely had different ideas of what it would look like, but to actually be doing it now, and it's not what either of us looked like, really, like, or imagined it would look like, because we have these two kids and they're totally like just Isley alone. She's blonde, blue-eyed. Like, where did she come from? Like, there's she's like a little mystery,
She's complex.
She's definitely my kid, so don't think about that like that. But like, you know what I mean? Just kidding.
Yeah.
But
and they couldn't have more different personalities either.
No, but just there's like a new journey ahead, right? And it's unpredictable. But I think the dream we're living in now, it's something that we would have dreamt about when we first got married, is what's our family going to be like? And like, I imagined we'd have a little you. Maybe Echo is yet to express.
He's got way more testosterone. I don't know.
Yeah, but there's an image that we had, but now it's even now that we're living it. Yeah, it's even.
I think it's these projections of like, I always was told I looked like my grandmother growing up, so I just thought, oh, we're gonna carry on the legacy, and then here comes this little girl that looks nothing.
Can't project it.
You can't project. I think you're right. I think we're living in the dream of like, what's our family gonna be like? What are our kids gonna be like? Who are they? And now we're getting to discover it together in this season. Who are we like as parents?
Who are we? Well, if you're still with us.
I mean, it did kind of go all over the map.
It did. That's why this is a topic I was really curious about, and I wanted to talk with you about it because I think it matters so much, because dreaming, imagining, and then trying to bring that to reality, like living it, is I think it's an important thing that people can do in their lives, because there's so much more than just like doing what's expected of you, or doing your job, or being whoever everyone else needs you to be. Like, there's things inside everyone, I believe, that when they're allowed the light or the air to really begin to lift up and rise in their mind and come out. And as they share them with other people, especially like someone like a spouse, that you begin to share dreams with other people and build them together, walk toward them together. It may look differently than the first draft of your imagination, because that's just the blink of an eye, right? It's here as quickly as you can have an idea or a dream, another one may come, you know? But I think that process of pursuing it is so valuable. It can be so challenging, especially when the rubber meets the road and you're hit with the reality of like, this isn't working how I wanted it to, or whatever it is. But allowing yourself to continually dream, not just, maybe some people have a singular thing, but I think for us, we've had an abundance of dreams, abundance of things that we would love to see in life. And we're getting to see many glimpses of it, of those things as we live together.
Yeah. Like, I don't think we're married to a dream. You know, I think we're married to
Married
each
to
other.
each other.
Okay. Well, it wasn't going there exactly until you said that when I was.
Not married to a dream, just married to him. I'm just kidding.
But like, our dreams change.
Yeah.
And evolve.
And we change and evolve.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for taking over this episode.
Thank you for going on this wild ride with me.
You're welcome.
I mean, life. The podcast is
Just one little.
I'm going to do the close because I don't really know how to end this podcast because it's all up in the air.
No, it's not. You just say like, follow, and subscribe.
You guys can like, follow, and subscribe Haven the Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow on TikTok, Instagram, social media.
Havenpod.com.
Havenpod.com.
Sign
There's a
up for-
newsletter, some killer merch stuff sometimes. Is it out now?
I don't know when this episode will drop.
We will see. Haven out. No, sorry. I'll actually close.
No, that's the close.
Thank you all for joining.